Hi, I'm Asatsu5 and this is my video on martial arts and what exactly it means to me. Martial arts can be something that you learn for the defense of yourself and others. It can be something you learn for sport and competitions. It can be something you learn for exercise and self-discipline and improvement. Anyways, there was a quote I want to read to you from Bruce Lee that I think really just puts into perspective what martial arts really is. And he's directing this towards his style of Jeet Kune Do, which I have some feelings on Jeet Kune Do. Not negative, but just something that I would like to discuss when I discuss Jeet Kune Do here in a little bit. Anyways, it's from his book, The Tao of Jeet Kune Do. And I'll have a review on this book and and some other martial arts books hopefully soon. And when I get the time, I'll do it. But anyways, to the quote, or off to the quote. Tools, your natural weapons, have double purpose. 1. To destroy your opponent in front of you, annihilate all things that stand in the way of peace, justice, and humility. 2. To destroy your own impulse caused by the instance of self-preservation. To destroy anything bothering your mind. Not to hurt anyone, but to overcome your own greed, anger, and folly. And Bruce Lee continues to say that Jeet Kune Do is directed towards oneself. And because this is his style, but I think that quote works for just about any other martial art, and that quote really spoke to me, because it's not just about fighting people. It's about fighting your own evil inside of you, to put it philosophically. If you have a problem, you're stressed out, you do martial arts to exercise. It can relieve a lot of stress. Tai Chi is a good stress relieving martial art, but all martial arts are good. I used to just practice on the heavy bag, when I was stressed out about stuff. I really enjoyed it, but but it's for the defense of justice, peace, and humility. And I think Bruce put it well in that quote. Anyways, off to some more thoughts on martial arts. These are my thoughts. I'm not basing these off of hype or anything like that. I'm not here to say this martial art's better than that. Karate's better than Kung Fu. Judo's better than Jiu-Jitsu. I'm not here to talk about that. Obviously, because whoever will practice the most in their particular style is going to be better, and whoever's versatile enough to fight in many different styles is also going to have the advantage, because the more options you have, the better off you are. If you train in, let's just say, for instance, boxing, you're going to have a devastating punch, but if for whatever reason you can't use your arms, the guy has a weapon that extends past your reach, you're knocked to the ground, then you're at a big disadvantage. Another quote by Bruce Lee: I'm more afraid of the man who practices one kick 1,000 times than the man that practices 1,000 different kicks. And that basically says, pretty much know what you're doing. The importance of practicing and perfecting the techniques that you do know, and not just, take pot shots at different things. Anyways, I thought I'd add that in. There's advantages and disadvantages to all different styles of martial arts, and like, let's just say, for instance, karate versus taekwondo, or karate versus taekwondo. Um, Karate means empty hand way. Taekwondo is the hand and foot way. Now, both styles are extremely intense. Both styles focuses on heavy, hard-hitting, striking moves. So, it's not necessarily submissions or weapons or anything. Although they do have those things, they don't leave other stuff out. They're not going to teach you how to use weapons because their main focus is unarmed fighting. Because if you have an advantage, you need to use that advantage. But there's also a big difference between Taekwondo and Karate. Although there's a lot of similarities too. Like one similarity is they use the same uniform, the gi. And the gi is a Japanese uniform, not Okinawan, which Karate is a Okinawan martial arts. But anyways, they have a lot of the same techniques, but Taekwondo focuses more on the kicks, and which is pretty reasonable because the kick is one of the most powerful strikes a person can inflict on another person, depending on their skill. But Karate, on the other hand, focuses on more punching and upper body strikes, which also makes a lot of sense because you're not giving up your your center of gravity. You're not giving up your balance, and you're less likely to fall over and get thrown on the ground and attacked. And those soft styles, hard styles, internal styles, external styles, pretty much what that means is the main focus of your fighting to beat the person down, or is it to deflect or manipulate the other person's body where you can bend it in ways it doesn't want to bend? And I'm not saying that hard styles are better than soft styles. And again, it just depends on what you'll get at. Soft styles like Aikido Jiu-Jitsu, Tai Chi, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, and believe it or not, Judo and Jiu-Jitsu are two different martial arts, although very similar, both Japanese. Jiu-Jitsu is the samurai martial art, and you have everything from weapons, strikes, and the holds and throws and submissions. But Judo is more focused on the actual throws and submissions and holds, and it's a lot more simplified. And it's more of a sport than Jiu-Jitsu is. Jiu-Jitsu is more, or I like to think, in my opinion, it's more of a combat sport or combat style. But anyways, I'm not. There's certain situations I believe a soft style would benefit you a lot more than a hard style. Let's just say, for instance, if a good example is high school teacher or principal. It's pretty obvious that a teacher, authority figure, cannot lay a hand on a student, and I've witnessed this several times. I'm not saying several times as in on a daily basis, but I have witnessed it in different situations. But a principal cannot strike a student. It's just not. It's just not legal. It's frowned upon. But what if the teacher's trying to break up a fight or is trying to discipline a student, and the student becomes combative? What does the teacher do? Well, the teachers and principals usually study Aikido or Aikido Jiu-Jitsu, and that's pretty much just manipulating the body, bending it, locking it up, and it's a lot of it's a fighting style, but you really never strike anybody. In Aikido Jiu-Jitsu you can strike people, but in Aikido you really don't hit anybody ever. It's it's going to have a lot of the wrist locks and arm locks and holds, and it's a lot better for restraining people. You can still inflict pain. You can still seriously injure someone if you know what you're doing and you need to do it. But it's good because you're not grabbing anybody by the hair and bashing their skull in, and that's why those styles are better in certain professions or certain situations. And I've used that style to restrain people before. It's very effective. And on the other hand, sometimes a hard style, I believe, might be the answer you're looking for. If you have to stop someone instantly and you're unarmed, the right blow to the right part of the body can stop any negative situation. Now, while I'm on this video, or while I'm doing this video, I want to talk about several different fighting, well, let's see, what's a good way to put this? Fighting scenarios, not necessarily scenarios, but types of fighting, far as how I see them. And I'll make myself clear as I explain this. It's just I haven't came up with a name for this philosophy, and that is the combative self-defense, the self-defense martial arts fighting philosophy. And then there's that's what you use if you're in a situation where someone's trying to steal your money or beat you up, and those no holds barred. You need to stop this person. That is the self-defense or combative martial arts or fighting. And then there's something that I like to call the sporting fighting or combative sports, which is your UFC, boxing, fencing, breaking competitions, judo. It's all the televised fighting sports. Wrestling, not pro wrestling, but real wrestling. And then the third type is probably one of the more controversial fighting types that I'm going to mention. It's not something that I necessarily promote nor ignore. Those pros and cons to both for this fighting style, and that's what I call the attitude adjustment fighting. And this is pretty much this is what happens in the schoolyards. You're getting picked on a lot. You're getting bullied a lot. Not necessarily physically bullied, but but it's psychologically bullied, psychological abuse, mental abuse, and if someone is just giving you hell for a long period of time, and you want it to stop, but either the teachers you've gone to can't do anything about it, or any authority figure can't do anything about it because he hasn't actually done anything to you, and or he might have done something to you physically, but you just don't have proof of it. Anyways, the attitude adjustment fighting type is frowned upon by most people, by most authority figures. They always say, come get help if you can, which I really do agree with. If you can get help, get an adult or a authority figure. That is your best bet as far as keeping your nose clean. But sometimes you just don't have that luxury. So the attitude adjustment is when someone's picking on you for a long period of time, and you finally just or it doesn't have to be a long time. Someone can just be picking on you and being cruel to you, and you just decide, you know what, I'm tired of this, and you give them an attitude adjustment. You beat them up, and that's why you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, that man's bullying you. You just have to beat him up once, and he'll never bother you again." And just like in my other story when I was talking about that conflict I had in the 8th grade, which I will talk about in more detail later. But they talk about, if someone's bullying you, and then you need to stand up for yourself, and they won't bully you anymore because they want someone easier to pick on. And I do believe that you can accomplish this goal with the attitude adjustment. Although it is not recommended. Far as it's not, it is the last result, if you will. To me, the attitude adjustment, like in schools or anything like that, is kind of like when you're carrying a gun for a self-defense situation. The gun is your last resort. That's you use that if you have nothing else to use. So is the attitude adjustment, and it's not just for schools and playgrounds. If I guess if you're at a bar and a guy is continually being rude to your girlfriend or wife, and or any kind of scene where someone's being like that, I'm not going to get into great details on what I consider extremely rude to your girlfriend or wife, but it might be reasonable to stop that. Again, I'm not recommending this. If someone's doing that to you, it's better if you can call the cops or leave. But even though the attitude adjustment isn't ideal and is often frowned upon, it doesn't mean that it cannot be used and that it doesn't exist. It is a fighting type, and I wanted to point those out because mostly just to give you something to think about. First of all, why am I learning martial arts? Am I learning it so I can become a UFC fighter? Or am I learning it so I can get good exercise? For the sport of it, for the actual activity. Am I learning it to defend myself in a life and death situation? Am I using my martial arts for the better good, or am I just trying to be Mr. Bad and intimidate people? Are you studying martial arts for the greater good or not? And a lot of times, anytime when you get into a physical confrontation, you're going to have to justify why you decided on whatever actions you took, and you're going to have to justify it. You're going to have to explain it, and you have to articulate why you did what you did. And in a self-defense situation, it's pretty obvious, hey, this guy pulled out a knife on me, so I cleaned out his clock. If it's a attitude adjustment thing, you're probably more likely to get in trouble. Not always, but again, you really have less of a right to fight in an attitude adjustment situation. And I just wanted to point those fighting types out merely because I wanted to, for the sake of pointing them out and giving you something to think about. Thinking to yourself, what am I doing at this time? Am I truly in a self-defense situation, or is the guy just really picking on me, and my well-being isn't necessarily in danger, my life isn't in danger, but he's harassing me all the time and I want it to stop? Am I or is me and and the person you're fighting against doing it competitively, or in a real life no holds barred fight? Now, something else I want to point out. People use the term no holds barred a lot. You might see it in WWE, which is acting. I hate to break it to anybody who really believes in it, but it really is acting. But it's entertainment now, and that's what it is, and they do a good job at it. You might hear the term no holds barred in UFC, WEC, not WEC, but World Fighting. I forgot it, but there's several mixed martial arts circuits. Pride Fighting, UFC, and there's some other ones I can't remember. But a lot of these mixed martial arts fights on TV, they might say this is a no holds barred match. Defend yourself accordingly. It's really not no holds barred. No holds barred literally means no hold is barred. No hold is illegal. No strike is illegal. Pretty much, no holds barred is self-defense. That means that striking at the groin, the temple, the eyes, grabbing someone's finger and twisting it around to the back of their hand, snapping the neck, striking the throat. Those are all legal. And if there is one rule saying that, hey, you're not allowed to kick in the groin, you're not allowed to pull the hair, then it's really not no holds barred. I wanted to point that out as well. And let's see, there's a lot of hype on which martial art style is better. Oh, my karate is better than your taekwondo. My crane style is better than your snake style, and all the animal styles are better than the other animal style. And Shaolin Kung Fu is better than the other Kung Fu. It's just Muay Thai versus Muay Barong, and or Krabi Kabong. Kali versus Screamy, Ping Kat Salat. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of different fighting styles, and it's not as bad anymore, but everybody thought that their style was better than the other person. And I really disagree on that train of thought. I think it's incorrect. The style that you're most familiar with is going to be better for you, obviously. But if the other person's more familiar with their martial art than you are with yours, then their style is going to prevail because they know it better. Now, Bruce Lee is famous for his probably one of the, well, I'm not going to say it's the newest fighting style developed, because they're all newer ones, but he's famous for developing Jeet Kune Do, or the way of the intercepting fist, and or also called the way of no way, or the style of no style, or the way of having no style. You know, there's a lot of names for Jeet Kune Do, and really, the driving point of Jeet Kune Do isn't this is how you punch in the Jeet Kune Do method, this is how you kick in the Jeet Kune Do method. It really doesn't have that much to do with that, but it's more of an understanding of martial arts itself. People call Jeet Kune Do a fighting style, but then again, you listen to Bruce Lee and he said Jeet Kune Do is the way of having no way. It's the style of having no style. And through my research, I really am coming to the conclusion that it's really not a style, but it's a philosophy. It is, Bruce Lee teaches that if there's anything that can help you save your life or the life of your loved ones or others, then you should learn it. If it can help you in a fight, then there's no reason to shun it. You should welcome it. So if let's just say Okinawan person travels to China and sees drunken Kung Fu for the first time, you know, there's really no reason for him to say, hey, my karate's better. You know, go ahead and learn it. Add the tools to your inventory, because the more options you have, the better chance you're going to make it. And Bruce Lee himself, he's probably read every single martial arts book that was out in his time. He's did his own research. He studied hundreds of thousands of different styles. He did not stop at Chinese Kung Fu. He studied karate. He studied Taekwondo was a fairly new martial art at that time, so I don't know so much about Taekwondo, but he did study Eskrima and Penkat Silat and Kali. He studied Kali Palet. He studied European fencing styles. He studied boxing. I mean, he studied pretty much every martial art that was in existence and known about at that time, and he mixed it all together in a hybrid philosophy that pretty much says, if it can help you, then use it. Now, I have had a comment on my martial arts video on my background that says, yeah, martial arts is pretty good, but where it's at is MMA, which you know, he's pretty much saying how when you get a purist or traditionalist in a ring in an MMA match that they always lose. Well, for the most part they always lose, so therefore MMA must be better. I disagree with the fact that MMA is better because of that. It's a product of the rules of the match. If you have someone who's never been in a ground and pound fight or submission fight, and they go in an MMA ring and they know Taekwondo, but they don't know the other stuff that goes in MMA, then of course they're at a big disadvantage. And you have a lot of people talking about like a particular MMA fighter's fighting style. You have Chuck Liddell's fighting style, Matt Hughes' fighting style, the Militech system, and they'll talk about their backgrounds. But really, they call it MMA, they call it mixed martial arts. That's what MMA stands for. But it's really a sport of Jeet Kune Do, because Jeet Kune Do is pretty much well-rounding yourself where you can fight in any situation that comes your way. If you get knocked down on the ground and the person's right on top of you, you can react to that situation. If a person is fighting you at a long distance, like kicking and all that, then you can react to that situation. If it's up close and personal in a phone booth, you can react to that situation. Really, a lot of the MMA fighters say this is their own personal style of fighting, but it's really just their own spin-off of Jeet Kune Do. And again, I almost don't want to say that Jeet Kune Do is a fighting style, but more of a philosophy, a thought process of martial arts. It's the deeper thought of martial arts. It's opening yourself to new ideals, and don't get me wrong, he has Bruce Lee isn't just a fighter, he's a philosopher. He studied philosophy. He put a lot of thought into his work, and I'm not saying he's not going to teach you how to do particular moves. I'm not saying he's not going to teach you how to throw a punch. He's not going to teach you how to do a kick. But he's not teaching. But his main focus isn't teaching how to do certain techniques, but it's how to approach martial arts. And I think that's pretty cool. Another cool thing about this book, I'm not trying to do a review over it, but thought it was pretty interesting information. Bruce Lee did not write and publish this book. I believe he wrote some other books, but he did not write this particular book. And this is the bestseller, sold in over 700,000 sorry, dyslexia is real bad. So basically 7,050 different language copies sold in 9 different languages. That's a lot. Anyways, what happened is Bruce Lee, he got some bad injury. I think it was a back injury, and while he was recovering, the doctor said, you can't practice martial arts, you can't, do that, you need to rest. So while he was resting, he checked out every book on martial arts he could find, foreign book martial arts, Chinese martial arts, karate, just all of them. If the book pretty much mentioned a style of martial arts, he read it, and he took notes, he wrote. And if I can find a picture, let's see if you can see it. Those drawings right there are his own drawings, and pretty much this book is completely made up of his side notes that he jotted down as he was reading books. It's filled with a lot of quotes. It's filled with a lot of philosophy, and it has some kind of how-to to it, but it's not really. To me, it's not really how-to. It's not a how-to book. But this book is pretty much made of complete quotes and notes that he has written down while he was injured. And after he died, his friends and family was going through his notes, and they got some of his notes, and they put it together into a book and sold it. And I think that's pretty cool. Let's see. Well, this is my first 30-minute video. I guess I better end it pretty quick. Anyways, those are just some thoughts on martial arts. Like I said, I don't really consider Jeet Kune Do as a fighting art, as a martial art. I don't consider it, to be like, what do you study? Oh, I study Jeet Kune Do. Oh, what do you study? I study karate. If you study any martial arts skill, you can benefit from this book. And if you never studied a martial arts skill in your life, you can still benefit from this book. But to me, this book, it's almost more for the already experienced martial artist, someone who studied a traditional style and wants to improve himself as a fighter, not as a demo martial artist. And something I want to say also, there was other few subcategories of martial arts. I mean, you have the traditionalist that pretty much studies martial arts not only for the self-defense and exercise, but for the history of martial arts. And you have XMA, extreme martial arts, and these people study martial arts to pretty much push their body to the greatest extreme, where they can do flips, they can break about 40 or 50 bricks, they can break all different kinds of things, baseball bats, they can spin the weapons around real fast. It's a very visually pleasing martial art, but it's not necessarily for self-defense, it's for looking good. And you also see that in Hollywood. And then you have just a straight up, no thrills, no grasshopper, just street fighting self-defense. And I wanted to point those out so you can kind of think of, just some stuff to think about. This video isn't to teach anybody anything, it's to give people material to think about. And I'm a Satsu 5. I'll hopefully have some book reviews soon. I'm going to go over some scenarios that I've witnessed, and how I think I should have took care of it, how I think the other people should have took care of it, and then I'll get to the actual technique. I'm a Satsu 5, and I am out. Oh yeah, one more thought on Jeet Kune Do. Another reason why I don't really consider it a martial arts style, but it's a philosophy, is the philosophy of martial arts, or of studying it. Here's another quote from Bruce Lee. If people say do this, that Jeet Kune Do is different from this or from that, let the name of Jeet Kune Do be wiped out. For what it is, it's just a name. Don't make a fuss over it. And obviously, these are just Bruce Lee's own personal beliefs on martial arts and how to get the job done. And if you watch any of his movies, you'll see a lot of his martial arts beliefs in his movies. He tries to make the fight scenes as most realistic as possible, and he directed all of them. And he's even hurt people in the process of filming, on accident. He's not trying to hurt anybody, but that's how realistic he wanted it. And I just wanted to add that to the Jeet Kune Do, style versus not a style kind of thing. And then again, I'm not claiming I'm not saying it's not a style. I'm just saying I don't think it is. I consider it more of a philosophy. And that's it. I'm out.